Cyber risk is moving on several fronts at once, from active threats to broader defensive pressure. Welcome to the Kernel Panic Brief. Today we're covering several major cybersecurity developments that matter for defenders, security leaders, and incident response teams. Multiple vendors released security patches or advisories addressing newly disclosed vulnerabilities. Our next story is Microsoft 365 AITM phishing hijacks accounts to collect payroll and finance emails. Cybersecurity researchers have called attention to an active, widespread email-driven phishing campaign that employs adversary-in-the-middle (AITM) techniques to take control of Microsoft 365 accounts with an aim to identify key personnel involved in financial workflows and gather related email. The campaign uses residential proxies to disguise malicious sign-ins as ordinary consumer traffic. Why this matters? The story signals a meaningful cybersecurity development that may affect defender priorities, exposure, or monitoring. For defenders, the immediate takeaway is to validate exposure, review detections, and confirm that response playbooks still match the current threat picture. Our next story is new WordPress pre-auth XSS could lead to PHP code execution. Patch ASAP. WordPress has fixed a pre-authentication reflected cross-site scripting XSS flaw in its login screen that affects every version of the content management system. Pwn.ai demonstrated how the flaw can be chained into PHP code execution on the server when a logged-in administrator interacts with an attacker-controlled page. Tracked as CVE 2026-64638, CVSS score 8.9. The why this matters. The story includes a specific vulnerability and remediation signal, which makes it directly actionable for defenders. For defenders, the immediate takeaway is to validate exposure, review detections, and confirm that response playbooks still match the current threat picture. Our next story is AI-assisted HTTP terminator finds novel HTTP desync techniques in Apache 0-day. Portswigger says HTTP Terminator, an artificial intelligence AI-assisted research system built by James Kettle, generated improved new HTTP desynchronization techniques after exploring 30,000 candidate desync vectors. Portswigger said a separate human-guided discovery cascade also exposed a 0-day in Apache Traffic Server. Kettle said HTTP Terminator tested 30,000 websites where. Why this matters? Active exploitation raises the chance of immediate real-world impact and shortens response time. For defenders, the immediate takeaway is to validate exposure, review detections, and confirm that response playbooks still match the current threat picture. Our next story is Canadian man pleads guilty in Snowflake extortions. A 26-year-old Canadian man once described as one of the most consequential cybercrime threat actors of 2024 has pleaded guilty to computer fraud and conspiracy to hack and extort more than 165 organizations that use the cloud provider Snowflake. Connor Riley Malka of Kitchener, Ontario, also admitted to stealing call and text history records of more than 100 million AT&T customers. A surveillance photo of Connor Riley Malka, aka Judisha and Waifu, dated October 21, 2024, 9 days before Malka's arrest. This image was included in an affidavit filed by an investigator with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP. The U.S. Justice Department said between February and October 2024, Malka and co-conspirators used stolen login credentials to steal cloud-hosted data belonging to at least 165 customers of a U.S.-based software-as-a-service company. The hackers targeted stolen credentials for Snowflake customer accounts that did not enforce multi-factor authentication and extorted or attempted to extort a host of well-known companies, including Ticketmaster, LendingTree, Advance Auto Parts, and Neiman Marcus. Snowflake responded to the data thefts by increasing password complexity requirements and enforcing multi-factor authentication. Malka adopted new nicknames frequently, sometimes operating multiple identities concurrently, but two of his best-known monikers were Judisha and Waifu. Judisha's admitted role in the Snow. Why this matters? Confirmed exposure or compromise changes risk calculations for affected organizations, customers, and downstream partners. For defenders, the immediate takeaway is to validate exposure, review detections, and confirm that response playbooks still match the current threat picture. Our next story is ClickFix attack pushes macOS infostealer for crypto theft attacks. A Go-based malware delivered in ClickFix attacks targeting macOS users is stealing cryptocurrency assets, browser-stored passwords, Apple Keychain data, and cached credentials. Why this matters? The story signals a meaningful cybersecurity development that may affect defender priorities, exposure, or monitoring. For defenders, the immediate takeaway is to validate exposure, review detections, and confirm that response playbooks still match the current threat picture. That is your kernel panic brief. If you rely on this roundup, follow the channel for the next daily cybersecurity briefing.